Oscar de la Hoya believes that if Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev face off for a third time, it will be an extremely grueling and physically demanding battle for both fighters. While he acknowledges that a trilogy fight would be exciting for boxing fans, he also points out that it could take a serious toll on both light heavyweights due to their fighting styles and the level of punishment they would endure. De la Hoya favors Bivol to win if they meet again, citing his youth, speed, and superior movement as key advantages. He expressed concern over Beterbiev's performance in their recent fight, noting that at 40 years old, he appeared slower in the ring, even wearing 2 knee braces, which suggested that his body may be breaking down. Despite his physical limitations, Beterbiev still showed his dangerous power, particularly between rounds 3 and 7, when he aggressively pressured Bivol and seemed to be on his way to a knockout. However, de la Hoya is more interested in seeing Bivol face a different challenge: WBC mandatory challenger David Benavidez. He believes that if Bivol truly wants to prove his greatness, he should take on Benavidez, as it would be a true test of his skill and toughness. According to de la Hoya, Benavidez has all the right tools to defeat Bivol, including his relentless punch output, high ring IQ, and ability to cut off the ring effectively. Unlike Beterbiev, who relies on raw power but struggles with mobility, Benavidez is more active and dynamic in the ring. De la Hoya argues that the strategy Bivol used against Beterbiev, constantly moving and avoiding exchanges, wouldn't work as well against Benavidez, who would keep up the pressure and force Bivol into uncomfortable situations. Instead of being able to pick his shots and control the pace, Bivol would have to deal with an opponent who never stops throwing punches and keeps closing the distance. Despite the potential excitement surrounding a possible trilogy with Beterbiev, Bivol's promoter, Eddie Hearn, doesn't seem interested in a fight with Benavidez. Unless Hearn changes his stance, Bivol's most likely options for his next fight would be either a rematch with Beterbiev or a bout against Callum Smith. However, de la Hoya firmly believes that if Bivol truly wants to cement his legacy, he needs to take on the biggest challenge available, and that challenge is Benavidez. He sees it as the ultimate test that could solidify Bivol's Hall of Fame career. That's a fight that would prove he's the best, de la Hoya stated. If Bivol is brave enough to take on Benavidez, it would be an incredible test of his abilities, and it would show the world that he's willing to take on the toughest competition out there. De la Hoya believes that this fight wouldn't just be another title defense for Bivol. It would be the defining moment of his career. He further explained why he gives Benavidez the edge over Bivol, stating that Benavidez is a smarter fighter in the ring, knows how to adjust, and possesses better footwork than Beterbiev. His high activity level and relentless pressure would make him a nightmare for Bivol. Unlike Beterbiev, who showed signs of slowing down as the fight progressed, Benavidez would maintain a relentless pace throughout all 12 rounds, leaving Bivol with little room to breathe. De la Hoya also pointed out that Benavidez throws significantly more punches per round than Beterbiev, meaning that Bivol would have to work much harder just to keep up. If Bivol struggles to maintain his movement against a fighter like Benavidez, he could find himself getting overwhelmed by sheer volume and pressure. De la Hoya also highlighted how much trouble Bivol had in the final round of his rematch with Beterbiev on February 22nd. In that brutal 12th round, despite being exhausted, Beterbiev suddenly unleashed an all-out attack, landing powerful shots that left Bivol bloodied and battered. While Bivol survived to win the fight, it was clear that he was barely holding on in those final moments. If Bivol struggled that much against an aging and fatigued Beterbiev, de la Hoya believes he would have an even harder time against the fresher, younger, and more aggressive Benavidez. He argues that if Bivol were to fight Benavidez, every single round would feel like that chaotic and punishing 12th round against Beterbiev, making it a stylistic nightmare for him. In De La Hoya's eyes, the fight would be an intense and relentless battle that could push Bivol beyond his limits and possibly expose his weaknesses. De La Hoya also pointed out that the styles of Bivol and Benavidez would make for an explosive and unpredictable fight. While Bivol is known for his technical skill, discipline, and ability to control distance, Benavidez brings a level of aggression that could completely disrupt Bivol's usual game plan. Unlike Beterbiev, who relies on calculated pressure, Benavidez would apply non-stop offense, forcing Bivol into uncomfortable exchanges. This would put immense physical and mental stress on Bivol, who typically prefers to dictate the pace of a fight rather than be on the receiving end of constant attacks. Hoya believes that unless Bivol finds a way to significantly increase his power and offensive output, he may struggle to keep Benavidez off him for an entire fight. Additionally, Hoya questioned whether Bivol has ever truly been tested against an opponent as relentless as Benavidez. While Bivol's victories over fighters like Canelo, Alvarez, and Beterbiev have proven his technical superiority, neither of those opponents had the same high-volume offensive style that Benavidez brings. Canelo, despite his power, fought in bursts, allowing Bivol to dictate much of the fight. Beterbiev, though powerful, had moments where he slowed down and allowed Bivol to reset. Benavidez, on the other hand, does not take his foot off the gas, constantly pressuring his opponents and breaking them down over time. Hoya believes this could be the key difference in a potential matchup, as Bivol has never had to endure that level of sustained aggression. One of the biggest concerns Hoya raised was whether Bivol would be able to handle the sheer physicality of a fight against Benavidez. He noted that Bivol has always been a fighter who prefers movement over direct exchanges, avoiding unnecessary risks whenever possible. Against a fighter like Benavidez, however, there may be no option to avoid the fight. Benavidez is known for forcing his opponents into battles they don't want, using his superior footwork and offensive output to trap them in the ring. If Bivol is unable to neutralize Benavidez's pressure early, Hoya fears that he could be overwhelmed in the later rounds, much like what happened in the 12th round of his rematch with Beterbiev. Beyond the technical and physical aspects of the fight, Hoya also discussed what a potential victory over Benavidez would mean for Bivol's legacy. While his back-to-back wins over Beterbiev have already solidified him as one of the best in the division, defeating a fighter like Benavidez would elevate him even further. It would prove that he can adapt to different styles and overcome one of the most aggressive fighters in the sport. Hoya believes that if Bivol wants to go down as one of the all-time greats, he cannot afford to avoid a fight with Benavidez. He emphasized that true champions seek out the toughest challenges, and for Bivol, that challenge is clear.